Picante, the Spanish word for spicy. And today we are in Mexico, where spice means something totally different than what it means in Ecuador. I mean, just look at this. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different hot sauces for my 3 little tacos here. And I'm so excited for it because I love spicy food. And in Ecuador, spice is good too. But in today's video, we're going to be comparing Ecuador and Mexico from both countries. It's going to be epic. And this is the small drink here in Mexico. And welcome to Ecuador. Look at this airport. It is so nice, so friendly. I even have my own personal chauffeur. And basically for $20, you can just have this calm, nice, relaxing experience. I mean, just look at the difference. This is the outside. So beautiful. I love landing here. Short sleeves at night, beautiful weather, and some English, please. Mexico hits you immediately. A city of 23 million people compared to under 3 million people in Quito. From the noise to the traffic to the food and smells and liveliness at night, Ecuador is calmer and more relaxed. Mexico City is, wow, it's very different than Quito. In Ecuador, you feel like you can just sit, relax in a park and not have to walk around and get from one place to the other. It's so nice. I mean, look at this. Just hear the birds. It's a beautiful thing. Mexico feels alive with live music and bright colors everywhere. I mean, I feel like I need to dance. Let's move on to my favorite part, which is the food. And I love comparing foods. I did this back in Chile. I do it pretty much anywhere I go because I love to eat. Here we have some delicious tacos. When you are in Mexico, you have to have the tacos. And there's a couple of tacos that you really have to try. One is one that I wasn't brave enough to try, but it is good. It is the head. So you have different pieces of the head, even an eyeball that you can put into a taco. I chose a longaniza, which I love, from the Chillán area of Chile. So good. I'm gonna try that out here. And then we've got some beef. And we've got the taco al pastor, which is my favorite kind of taco in the world. It's so good. And you've got all of these different spices right here, so you can choose one of these spices. And we did not ask which one is the spiciest, so I'm just guessing that this one is the spiciest, and I'm just gonna try it out. So you put a little bit on. The tacos in the United States are going to be big taco shells. These are small little taco shells that you just wrap up with your hot sauce. And oh baby, it is packed with some meat and it looks like this and it tastes like this. So good. In Ecuador, food feels like home. Ceviche, encebollado, un polón. Oh, so incredibly good. And picante is here, but it's optional. We are back here because we have this agua de horchata. And this I've never heard of before. I have no idea what it really is. And I guess, it might have some canela in it, cinnamon and things like that. And well, let's just give it a shot. The drinks, I feel like, are a big difference between here and Ecuador. Oh, it tastes like Christmas in my mouth. It is so good. It has that cinnamon and it almost has like a milk flavor to it. And you drink it and it's really refreshing, really cold. And I have never heard of this before, but I'm gonna have to figure out how to make this. The drinks here are, of course, lots of different kinds of beer. You have the Dos Equis, you have the Corona, you have all these different beers and people are out hanging out, having beers and enjoying life, but there's also a lot of different kinds of juices. And the juices here are everywhere. You can go to any little corner store and find a different kind of fruit that maybe you've never heard of. Tell them to mix it up and have a fresh juice for yourself. It's really good, especially after eating all of these spices right here. A fresh, cool juice, nothing better. If you want comfort food with shrimp and a coconut, Ecuador. If you want picante, Mexico. Now let's talk cost of living. In Ecuador, you can rent an apartment in downtown Quito for $400 to maybe $600 a month. Then your food costs for a family of 3, we pay around $500 a month. That's with getting really good food all the time. You can live for way cheaper than that. Electricity is going to be around $20 a month, and water around $20 a month as well. That's with the water you can drink and also like showering and washing dishes water and things like that. And internet might be around $30 for a really good internet, or you can pay up to $20 for good internet. And honestly, I mean, well, let's go back to Mexico and you'll find out that Ecuador wins. The prices here are much more expensive than the prices in Ecuador. For instance, for a few tacos, it's a couple of dollars, which you think is great coming from North America. But a couple of tacos in Ecuador, well, that's really hard to find. Also, the transportation here, especially in the city, and the tolls, has got to be like 4 or 5 times the price of what it is in Ecuador. In Ecuador, it's public transportation. In the city here is public transportation. And to get outside of the city, it's not that expensive, about $10, $20 maybe, to get somewhere. Whereas I think it's about half the price in general for transportation in Ecuador. It's just a little bit cheaper there, and well, it's a lot cheaper there. And honestly, here, it's typical that a lot of people have a car. Whereas I think in Ecuador, a lot of people do have a car, but public transportation is really, really popular. And I'm not just talking about the city of Mexico. The city of Mexico has lots of public transportation. Mexico is huge though, and in order to get from one city to another, you can take a bus, but a lot of people will take some sort of a car. All right, let's go in. And maybe let's just go back to Ecuador and keep talking. And the infrastructure here in Ecuador is not bad, honestly. There are a whole lot of speed bumps here, and not a lot of people really care about stop signs and things like that. But the roads, these cobblestone roads, are beautiful. And then you usually are going to have these normal roads right here that are very well taken care of. I think the infrastructure here is only getting better. There have been so many different road constructions and things like that going on here all across Ecuador. And honestly, for me to travel to the coast or travel to Tena, I've never had an issue. There's some mud spills and things like that that are normal when it rains. But besides that, I mean, the roads and the bridges and the infrastructure here is honestly pretty good. Let's talk about hotels, infrastructure, and where I think that is the best place to stay. If you were going on a trip and spending your hard-earned money, where would I tell you to go? Well, there's a lot of differences. One, here in Mexico, there are 5-star hotels on the beaches of Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, and other places around Mexico. It's a massive country. And in order to get from Mexico City to Tijuana, for example, it's like a 3-hour plane ride. It is a huge country, so you can't just do a road trip and say, I'm gonna go from here to there in one day. You can, but you're not going to go as far as you would in Ecuador. In Ecuador, you go from the selva, like the furthest part to the east, all the way to the beach in just a few hours. And you can see almost the entire country in that way. From north to south, it's a little different and it takes a lot longer. It's actually a fairly big country in the sense that there are so many huge mountains. So to get from one place to the other, it's going to be lots of switchbacks in Ecuador. Here in Mexico, you can get that as well. We just went up to 10,000 feet and then down to 7,500 feet, and that was okay. But Mexico has infrastructure that I think is very good and very developed, and the roads are good. You pay a ton for the tolls, whereas in Ecuador you pay like $1 or less for a toll. But the roads, I think, in Ecuador are actually better than here in Mexico. Probably just because there are so many roads. And places to stay, 5-star resorts in Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, other places. And then Mexico City just has so much. It's a city of, they sometimes say 30 million people because it's just such a big city if you factor in all of the suburban areas, the outskirts of the actual city part. It is massive. Whereas you compare that to Quito, where you just have a couple million, or Guayaquil, you're not even close to 30 million people. And that's okay. I kind of like that better. When you land in Ecuador, you just feel like you're at home. Like you have different people that will help you with things. And if you're going to a resort like Masha Lodge or something like that, they'll pick you up right there. bring you right to the lodge, and you can just enjoy it right there and just have this almost like you're going to a family member's house experience. Whereas here in Mexico, it's so developed that you're going to go to a 5-star resort, you're going to be greeted not with like a handshake, welcome, we love you, but it's more of like, here's a welcome drink. And I hope that you drink a lot so you have a lot of fun. And that is kind of one of the experiences that you'll have here on the beaches of Mexico. I've been to Mexico many times before. I've been all over the Yucatan Peninsula on kind of a road trip, seeing all that there is there in Cancun and other places, which is beautiful. I've been to Cuernavaca, Puebla I was just at, well, you saw it in this video, and I've been in other places as well, many times here to La Ciudad de Mexico, but I've never been to some of the other places, so I'm missing some places here. Oh, also been to Tijuana, and just love it. It is an awesome little city. And honestly, Mexico is a very beautiful place, and the people here are very friendly, very welcoming, and the food is top notch. Honestly, if you want good food, I think you're going to come here to Mexico. I do love the food in Ecuador, but I mean, there are just so many options because you're in a big city here and it's just a melting pot of so many cultures. You get almost any kind of food besides tacos that you might want. It's really beautiful. So let's go back to Ecuador and keep comparing Ecuador. Let's go. In Ecuador, on a 1-week trip, you can see the rainforest, you can see the ocean, and you can go for a hike in the Andes Mountains. I think that's absolutely beautiful. And welcome back to Mexico. Let's talk safety. Well, typically in both countries, anywhere you go, you're going to have some safety things that are going to be an issue for you if you're traveling in a big city place. But here are a couple of tips and tricks for you so that you don't have to worry about that. One is make sure that your cell phones and everything are well secure. Put them in your pockets and maybe keep a hand on them. Also, if you have a passport, leave it somewhere safe. You don't need to travel everywhere with a passport. Take a picture of it and bring that with you if you need to. Otherwise, don't have it in your pockets. You don't need to. And honestly, just use common sense. When you're traveling in a big city place, make sure that you're not just waving around your money and things like that. And I think you'll be just fine. But safety in both places, well, you just have to check the news and make sure that where you're going is going to be fine that day. How about the nature? Well, here in Ecuador, you can go and see monkeys in the Amazon rainforest and big snakes if you're into that, but I've never been into that. I've never done that. I love the monkeys and I love the rainforest. It's beautiful and so calm and peaceful. And then you can go to the mountains, and the mountains are just a 3-hour trip from Tena, and you're in Quito, and what a beautiful place to go for a beautiful hike. Quilatoa, Cotopaxi, all the mountains right around Otavalo, and the markets of Otavalo. And then you can go, if you wanted to, technically, in the same day, and go to the beach and experience the ocean. And wow, you can see the whales during some seasons. It is absolutely beautiful to travel here in Ecuador. And how about the history? Well, here in Mexico, the history goes back many, many years, and you talk about the Aztecs, and in Ecuador, you talk about the Incas and how the Incas came. And before the Incas, there were the Cayambe people, and there were all these different people that have lived there for so many years. Right now, we're in the place that started the Cinco de Mayo. In the United States, basically you just get out a Corona beer and you just drink on this day because it's a way to remember, I think, Mexico? I don't even know exactly, but here it started, and it was a battle between the French and the Spanish, and actually the French won. And there's some bullet holes that you can actually see right here in Puebla, and I think it's really cool to see the history here in Latin America and just see the Spanish influence, and all of the churches, the Catholic churches that are all around this town were built, I mean, because of the Spanish coming here, which is kind of crazy and kind of beautiful. How about the daily life? Well, I'm waking up right now to a delicious coffee, and because there's not that much traffic to get to work, I can have some coffee beforehand, I can check my emails, I can relax a little bit, and then I can go into work, and it's busy, busy, busy. But honestly, it's just a simpler life here. How about the language? Well, honestly, when I was just in Mexico, I didn't understand very much at all. There are so many words and different places with pronunciations and words from so many years ago that, honestly, I just didn't know what so many people were talking about. Que padre is like cool. And here in Ecuador, it's kind of a little bit like Chilean Spanish, where they use bacán. And they use all these different words that came from Chile a few years ago during the dictatorship when a lot of people moved here and they just stayed here. And so for me, like cachai, people use that. Weón, people use that a little bit too here. Not everyone, but some people do. And here, if you were to go over to Colombia, you can understand that Spanish pretty much equally as the Spanish here in Ecuador. Chévere, like cool, that's a pretty common thing. Miércoles, like shoot. Those are kinds of words that you use here. And I just did a TV show in Chile and literally 10 minutes ago. Just finished on a TV show with them, and it was funny to hear them because they just talk with cachai and po and all these different things. And here it's pues, and not necessarily cachai all the time, but it's a lot slower Spanish here. And I think in Mexico as well, it's a little slower Spanish, but man, when I just did the interview and the talk on the TV show with the Chileans on their daily talk show, wow, that is hard to understand. So feeling pretty good about my Spanish when I'm here in Ecuador because now, after 4 years living here, I pretty much understand it. And maybe my biggest surprise is just that I feel like in Ecuador, everything is so well connected. I know a lot of people say we're disconnected because you have Guayaquil and then you have the rest of the country, and you have the coast and you have the rest of the country. But honestly, I can find the food from the coast, and it might not be as good, but you can find it anywhere you go to, and you can get to the coast really easily with cheap airplane flights to get to Guayaquil or Manta from Quito. And then honestly, I feel that it is connected in the sense that you don't have to go so far to get to a different place. From Mexico City to Monterrey, you're going to take an airplane. It is a long ways away. And from Mexico City to Cancun, you're probably going to take another plane because it's very far away as well. Mexico is huge, and there are so many states within Mexico, whereas here we have different regions and things inside of Ecuador. But I think because it's a smaller country, I feel like it feels more unified. And I was surprised by that because I've been to Mexico so many times, but I've never done a road trip like I just did there. And a road trip for just a 2-hour drive does not get you very far. It gets you from Mexico City to Puebla, which is just a small fraction of what Mexico has to offer. And for me, I can go 3 hours and get to a totally different landscape, which is you can go to Santo Domingo in an hour and a half. You can go to Tena in 3 hours. You can get to Cuenca in about 5 hours. And my goodness, I feel like that in itself makes it feel like I'm more connected with the entire country, especially as a visitor, where I might just want to go see Manta and then go there for the weekend and come back. Well, you just saw a thing that's really far away, a place super far away that, I just wanted to go see whales for the weekend. How cool is that? I have to ask you then, if you could choose, where would you live or where would you spend your hard-earned money to go on vacation? Mexico, maybe the beaches, maybe the city, maybe the inner parts and these cool cities within Mexico? Or would you go to a place like Ecuador where you can go and see monkeys and all this beautiful landscape, go for a hike in Quilatoa or Cotopaxi, and then also go to the islands of the Galapagos and go snorkeling and just see amazing birds and things under the water? Oh man, at the end of this video, I am going to tell you exactly what I think and where I would go and live. If I could do this all again, where would I go? And it's a hard decision. But while I'm thinking about it, I wanted to tell you about a way for you to just use your cell phone while you're traveling. It's an eSIM card, and basically you just go on the app HolaFly and you just use my little discount code right below to save you a little bit of money, and then you just download it and boom, you have your internet for while you're traveling. If you're renting a car especially, you want to know where to go, there's unlimited packages and you can just sign up, have your eSIM card that just goes directly on your phone from this app. I use it all the time, and honestly, I wanted to partner with them because I love what they do. There's also travel insurance that's right below as well, because you don't want to be caught off guard. So make sure you check out those links, and let's continue on with this video. Oh, it's so beautiful here. It's so quiet, peaceful. Oh, I'm in Ecuador right now, but I do love Mexico. So which do I prefer? Well, honestly, I like them both. I love the food here in Mexico, and coming here and going to Cancun, and for our honeymoon, we went to Cancun and just enjoyed it, loved it. And honestly, that's the great parts of Mexico. But to live here, especially in the city, it's a huge city, and that brings some good things like going to any kind of food restaurant that you want, having cheap tacos and all these different foods, which is so good. But in Ecuador, you have good food. It's not a huge variety like you would have here in a big city like Mexico City, and you're not going to find the 5-star hotels that are all over here in Mexico because it's such a big country, and the resorts here are just incredible. But I kind of like the small town feel. Even though it's a couple million people that live in Quito, it still feels like a small town. When you land, it's a smaller airport. Here, it's a massive airport, and they're doing developments all over the place, getting ready for the Mundiales, the World Cup that's going to have some games here, as well as a lot of places around the United States. And the infrastructure is good, but I really enjoy just the campo feel, being in the middle of nowhere in a small house with my family. That's my ideal day. I love that. And for here in Mexico City, you can definitely get that, but you have the big city feel. And you get that pretty much anywhere. There are so many big cities all throughout Mexico. You can definitely find the campo life and a big place to go and have a farm and things. But honestly, I think for me, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, I would prefer going to and living in Ecuador, which is where I'm going right now. So I'm going to go through here, check in, and I hope that you enjoyed this video for today. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Check me out on Instagram and TikTok, Gringo y Latino. We'll see you guys next time. But for now, got a flight to catch. Back to Ecuador I go. Actually, staying in Ecuador, at least for a couple of days. We'll see you in the next country. Ciao, Piscow.